I could have made it easier on myself by trimming this short, but there are things that are easy enough to begin with. So in the moment of taking that break, as I turned toward the spectator who was going to be looking at the book, I did a half pass, which is to say, I simply kicked over the 2 cards beneath the break. This action is screened by the side of the hand. That means that when I held the packet up to the spectator and asked him to think of one of the numbers that had been written down, he was actually looking at 5 numbers that I had written down. I wrote them in different handwritings to give the idea that 5 different people had written them. Now, what those numbers are is somewhat important. 101, 184, 390, 85, 182. Those are the numbers you need. Don't forget them, because that is the key to this mystery, because this book, normal though it is, has a very curious quality. And that is that on all 5 of the pages I've just mentioned, the opening line, the opening sentence or partial sentence, describes something having to do with artificial hair. And therefore, all 5 of those statements will be nicely covered by a drawing such as this. Now, of course, the book is with 2 other books, and it's necessary to force that choice. To do this, we use the magician's choice, or as it is sometimes called, equivoque. And I'm asked frequently if that's the proper pronunciation, to which the answer is both yes and no. The word in French is pronounced équivoque, so equivoque is obviously wrong, but since it is being used in the context of a magician's secret terminology, I rather like the fact that it's pronounced wrong, because that tells you we're talking about a technique rather than the French word, or I suppose I should say a technique. But anyway, there are a number of different ways to go about using the equivocal techniques that exist to force a book. Let me give you the simplest one, which is Animan's, and I think this is the one that still functions the best. So let's go over this quickly, Eugene. We're going to force, again, this book. So let me ask you to pick up 2 of them right now and hand one to me. And there's the book we'll use. Now, of course, had you picked up those 2 but handed me the other one, it would have looked like this. Pick up 2 of them right now, hand one of them to me, and keep the book that you've chosen for yourself, and we'll continue from there. Of course, it's possible that he'll pick up the other 2 books, but in that case, pick up 2 of the books and put them aside. And we still wind up with our force book. So in any eventuality, we have our force book, we have forced our 5 possibilities per page, and now it's only a question of putting them together with the illustration that's going to satisfy the result.
I have a question. Did you find this book with these characteristics?
Yes, otherwise it would be on someone else's video.
How did you find this?
Well, I looked through a lot of books. This fits into a category that's loosely defined as a natural forcing book. Over the years, quite a number of people have, basically through a lot of effort of just paging through books and taking notes as to what's on various pages and trying to notice things that show up, have found books where certain words or phrases or concepts are repeated in enough places in a book to give you something to do with it. I, some years ago, hit upon this notion that I wanted to try and find a book that would function in this way. This is the best I've come across, and it's also not only the best because of the quality of it, but also because it's a best-selling novel, which is easy to find and doesn't seem unusual to bring to the table. I certainly encourage the viewer to find his or her own books that will work, and when you find them, let me know what they are.
I particularly like the third effect you did, Divine Right.
Well, this is a thing that I've not ever explained before. This goes back to the late 70s, early 80s. It's an outgrowth of an idea of Ted Animan's from 1929, the mental masterpiece, but taken a step further. So first of all, let's describe that. What's going on here is that the case itself is gimmicked. I've taken the case apart and I've split this surface so that it's now half as thick as it used to be when it came from the factory. And then on the inside I have glued a piece of carbon paper. Some years after Annemann came up with this idea, Ralph Reed put out the perfected mental masterpiece, where the carbon was replaced instead by what's called a magic slate, which meant it was easily reused without any resetting to speak of. But finding a good magic slate these days is difficult, so I've gone back to carbon paper. The face card of the deck is prepared by having a piece of blank paper glued on it. So therefore, anything that is written on the central area of the card case is going to come right through, just like a classic impression device, onto that piece of paper. So that's the basic principle of the mental masterpiece case. Now we use this in conjunction with a gimmick deck, and the deck is gimmicked in a couple of ways. First of all, the bottom 26 cards, which are right here, consist of all the hearts and diamonds in sequence. So ace through king, ace through king. Then the card above that is a joker that's been trimmed short, and since it's never going to be seen or handled, I actually make fairly deep trims to make my life easy. And then the top half of the deck consists of the same black card, in this case the 10 of spades, repeated 26 times. That's the gimmicked deck. So now you sort of get the idea of what's going to go on here. I'm going to send to you the 10 of spades, because that's going to be the only card you can possibly pick. You're going to send to me a red card, which I will find out about thanks to the mental masterpiece gimmick in the case. But let's put the construction together so that you understand what's going on. First of all, I explain that I don't want us to be thinking of the same card when we send a card to each other. Therefore, we're going to try to simplify matters, and what I'm about to do is to force him to pick a red card. And I do it as follows. I say, let's not pick the same card, so what do you prefer, red or black?
Black.
Now, if he says that he prefers black cards, I say, fine, then I'll send you a black card. And logically, you therefore send me a red card. And that seems to be a very fair interpretation of his choice of black. But if I say, what color do you prefer? And you say,
red.
I say, fine. Then you think of a red card to send to me, and that leaves black for me to send to you. So in either case, the spectator is forced, in this apparently very free situation, to think of a red card. 2 slips of paper, the spectator gets to pick which slip of paper to write upon. That's a choice that means nothing, adds nothing, might as well give it to the person. The spectator also gets to choose which order we write our information down. That doesn't matter either. In either situation, the spectator is going to do his or her writing with the piece of paper positioned centrally. I'm going to do my writing up here over the flap of the case, so it won't get in the way of whatever the spectator's written down. So it doesn't matter which of us goes first, you see. The spectator writes down whatever red card he or she is thinking of, and I write down the 10 of spades. So those are the 2 pieces of information that are on these. The pencil, by the way, and this goes back to the Annemann original, is a small pencil. These are called golf pencils in this country. And the reason for that is because the nature of a golf pencil is that you have to press down because of the angle, the way it's held in the hand. A long pencil, you can make a nice light notation, and we want to get some pressure so that the information is going to show up inside the case. So the spectator writes with this small pencil, and now I take out the deck. And as I do, and I shall reposition myself to show you, as I do, I pull out the entire deck far enough that I get to see whatever the information is the spectator has written down. And as soon as I see that information, my thumb lets this kick back into the case, you see? So that now it's going to stay there. Now this is all screened from this side, so as I pull the deck out, it's there, and then as I continue to pull the deck out, I'm now pulling this back, and that stays in the case. All right? We can actually take it out. The face of the card is never going to be seen. However, among other things, I don't want to get carbon all over my fingers, so it's better to leave it in the case. I cut the deck at the short card. I hand half the deck to the spectator, half to myself. I could equivocate the choice of which half. I don't think it's necessary. I say, take those behind your back and shuffle them. And I apparently do the same, but what I'm doing behind my back is not shuffling, it's counting. Because I'm looking for your card. Now, what red card, hypothetically, did you pick?
5 of diamonds.
The 5 of diamonds. Now, I know this is